It's New Year's Eve, 1:05 here in France, 1:05 in the afternoon, New Year's Eve. I haven't been posting anything on Facebook or YouTube for a while. I've been thinking about what is the target audience of the translation of Nagarjuna's MMK, which I had completed for a number of years. But wanting to be clear about who the audience really is. And so I'll write the introduction and maybe the footnotes with that in mind. And I haven't really been clear exactly how I hope to benefit. And one thing that became clear to me during the course of this year, is I'm not writing it for blue-pilled Buddhists, like, for example, James Cohen, who's a big advocate of what shall I call them, the experimental gene modification jabs. No, I'm not writing it for the likes of him. What he stands for with his pro-vaccine stance is really a system of global governance whose whole raison d'etre is sovereignty over others. And so reflecting on that has helped me see particularly clearly, in a way I didn't see before, the meaning of the opening verse of chapter 17 of MMK, which is what I want to comment on today, really. Because just looking at Cohen, the charlatan that he is, I don't know whether it's through ignorance or possibly, I don't discount the possibility that he's actually a kind of agent provocateur to represent the interests of that very system which seeks to impose sovereignty over others. What I'm really talking about there is the undead British Empire, which is really still up to its old tricks of divide and rule. It's in that context I see Cohen's behaviour. Again, I don't know whether he's just an unwitting puppet or whether he's actually possibly even complicit. The point is for us, though, for my target audience of MMK, which I see all the more clearly, as I say, not blue-pill Buddhists, it's people who seek sovereignty over ourselves. That's the point. Not sovereignty over others and all the unintended consequences and terrible collateral that kind of imperialist agenda brings in its wake. Being able to control ourselves. This is somewhat paradoxical when you think that the whole point of MMK is emptiness, which means that we don't have a self to control as a separate, independent thing. So we're seeking sovereignty over an empty self. That's really the message I'd like to emphasise in MMK. So rather than me rattle on with my own thoughts about it, let's comment on chapter 17, verse 1. And fortunately, in March 2017, on bodhisvara.com, we got the excellent recitation in Sanskrit of MMK. So I'm going to play the verse recited by somebody who knows how to recite Sanskrit, and then I'll repeat it and comment on it.
ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ parānugrāhakaṁ maitraṁ sa dharmas bījaṁ phalasya pretya ceha.
So ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ. Cetaḥ means the mind, the heart. Atma means self. Again, since we're talking in light of emptiness, it doesn't mean a separately self-existing, egotistical self. It means an empty self, which is dependent on everything else that's happening. Now, saṁyamakaṁ means, I've translated it as restrain. It means to hold back. So the mind to restrain oneself. But you could equally translate it control, the mind to control oneself. ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ, parānugrāhakaṁ. Para means others. Anugrāhakaṁ means parānugrāhakaṁ chayat. Anugrāhakaṁ means favour. So if we translate it benefit or help, that would be a little bit interpretive. I think literally it means favour. So the mind, and cha means and, so and favour others, yat, which. So the mind which controls the self and favours others, in the second line, maitraṁ. So maitraṁ is adjective from maitraṁ, which means friend. So the friendly mind, the mind of a friend. The mind of a friend to control oneself, to restrain oneself, and to help others. ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ parānugrāhakaṁ chayat maitraṁ sa dharma. Sa, it is dharma, the dharma. And here I think if I was going to translate dharma, I might translate it as sustenance. So dharma is from a verbal root dr, which means to sustain. So if you think about it, in this context especially, dharma is kind of spiritual sustenance. It's what keeps us going. And we need something to keep us going in the absolute shitstorm that has been unleashed since about 2016, when the people who want sovereignty over others reacted to the populism of Brexit and Trump. That's basically the history of the last 7 years, with the scamdemic and the war in Ukraine and the goings on in Israel. It's like the death throes of the so far undead British Empire. So maitraṁ sa dharmas, it is the dharma. Tad bījaṁ, tad again it is, bījaṁ, the seed. So sa is that, nominative singular masculine with dharma. So sa dharma, that is the dharma. Tad bījaṁ, bījaṁ is neuter, so that is tad. Tad bījaṁ, it is the seed. And ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ parānugrāhakaṁ chayat maitraṁ sa dharmas tad bījaṁ phalasya pretya ceha. So phalasya means of fruit, of the fruit. So it's the seed of fruit. Phalasya pretya. Pretya means henceforth, in the future. And ceha means here. So it's the seed of fruit, both here and in the future. Phalasya pretya ceha cha. So cha is and ceha is here. So cha plus ceha is ceha. So it's the seed of fruit here and hereafter. So the most important word that I've understood in the last 16 years since beginning to study Sanskrit is bhavana, which means letting happen or cultivating. And in the sense of cultivating, if we're cultivating something, Nagarjuna uses bhavana with the object marga. So we're cultivating a path or cultivating a way. But if you like to translate bhavana as cultivating, you can also think of it as that seed, the seed of fruit, karmic fruit, here and hereafter. This chapter, Canto 17, is titled karma-phala-parīkṣā, exploring karma-phala, the fruit of karma. So I'll play the I'll play the verse again with also the canto, the chapter title, so that you can hear it in context. Here we go again.
karma-phala-parīkṣā nāma saptadaśamaṁ prakaraṇam ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ parānugrāhakaṁ maitraṁ dharmas bījaṁ phalasya pretya ceha.
ātma-saṁyamakaṁ cetaḥ parānugrāhakaṁ maitraṁ dharmas bījaṁ phalasya pretya ceha. The mind of a friend, to control oneself, to restrain oneself, and favour the other, favour others. That is dharma. That is the seed of fruit here and hereafter. And I think, I can't help thinking this verse influenced the teaching of Jesus. You think about the three magi, the three wise men from the east. I think the gift they gave Jesus was more than frankincense and myrrh and gold. I think they gave him the gift of the Buddha's teaching of emptiness, which is why in the Old Testament you've got an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And in the Buddha's teaching you've got loving your enemy, love your neighbour as yourself, and even loving your enemy. So in this verse, parānugrāhakaṁ, favour the other with the mind of a friend. You see, that's, I think Jesus picked, when Jesus talked about love, that's what he's talking about, favouring the other with the mind of a friend. And when we talk about, you see, we contrast this again with the modus operandi of the people who conditioned and who educated me at King Edward School, King Edward VI School, Birmingham, a school traditionally for colonial administrators. The whole modus operandi of the British Empire was, in Latin, divide et impera, divide and rule. And that's so much of what you see going on in the world today with the nonsense of LGBTQ and crazy economics theories and all the rest of it. It's all the bad fruit, the rotten fruit of that seed of intending to impose British sovereignty over others. So, for saying this, if the examples of Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, John Lennon are anything to go by, those guys will kill me for saying this if it in any way becomes popular. At the moment, the way they take me out is I've been suppressed. Nobody's listening to my message on social media, for example, because the people in charge of social media are the same people who are in charge. And my name is Cross, and people who which have made a pun of cross meaning angry. But if you believe in nominative determinism, another option is that metaphorically I'll be crucified, and I fully expect that and bring it on. The main thing is to get the message out.